Welcome back to the YTG Podcast. If
Welcome.
you are new here, my name is Nico. I'm an automotive photographer and now amateur racing driver.
I'm Shaun, and I am the owner of this lovely shed in Keysborough, YTG Young Timers Garage.
Here
Welcome.
on the weekly-ish YTG Podcast, we're going to give you the sort of inside scoop inside the automotive industry in Australia, as well as some fantastic stories. Motorsport, anything car related. So, and a bit of electric car hate. So join us on another episode, and we hope you enjoy. Welcome back.
Haha.
Shaun returns.
I did.
You made it in time.
Yes. Awesome to see you, mate. Well, I'm sorry I missed the last one, but I'm sure it didn't need me. It would have been epic. I can't wait to hear it.
I couldn't shut him up.
That's a common problem, sadly.
That's great.
But we did miss you, Shaun. We really did miss
Oh,
you.
no, mate. I'm glad to be here. Raced here, had my daughter's school production. So left here, went there, came back here just to make it in time. So awesome to see you, bud.
Thank you. Very
Welcome
much.
back.
Well, it's always good being here. It's my second visit here.
Yes.
You still get the old feelings. You walk through the door and you see those cars. It's wonderful.
Well, I've got some new... How's that?
I've had a look around. I've had a little look around. There are some absolute beauties down
Yeah,
there.
we're pretty blessed at the moment. I'm always getting some great cars, and we've been able to have some good opportunities with some stuff that's around. But, you know, when you look at that, and we were looking, you got probably one of the best XKs on the market, 150. Then you got the best D-type replica, which was built off in 1980 by Proteus in the UK.
Yeah.
And next to it, they built that next to the original car. That's moulded off the original car.
Incredible.
Engines basically 3.8, twin draft Webers, 4-speed Moss. It's built to be raced. It raced pretty much most of its life. Clocked at Zandorf at 150 miles an hour by the previous owner. I used to race it all the time.
That's crazy, isn't it?
And then, beautiful client of mine had bought the car many years ago, did a lot of hill climb track, that sort of Rob Roy stuff, that sort of thing. Just a lot of fun. Bit of historic racing, then spent thousands and got the car road registered.
Beautiful.
How good is that?
Beautiful.
How good is that? And he just said, he goes, son, it's scary as fuck. Yeah, I'm sitting there going, like, you're just moving it around, and you're just like, balls of steel, 150 miles an hour plus.
Yeah.
And, you know, that car is one-to-one built to the original car. Yes, granted, it's got some minor modernness to it, so it, a little bit easier start and things like that.
Yeah,
Just-
You have to do that, don't you? If you want to drive it, you've got to give them that little bit of practice.
You have to.
Otherwise,
You can't.
No, I'm
You
all
can't.
for that.
I mean, like, we got that bloody Weber, the Aston Martin. We got an Aston Martin Series 3 74, beautiful car, beautiful girl, and 72 they had the Bosch injection. 73 they had the Bosch injection. 74 they go to Webers. So they go backwards, and like the bloody thing, we can't. Every time we start, it's like pop, 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 pop. We've changed plugs and that, and they're just unbelievable. Whereas that XK, that D-type, mate, bang, they
So
just
cool.
unbelievable.
Telling the story, the 150 there.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier on, and it reminded me of my ex-girlfriend's grandmother. I may have told you last time I was here. She used to race. She was a rally driver.
That's right. Yes.
She used to race factory-prepared XK 120s and then 150s.
Wow.
For a little while. She did the Mille Miglia, she did the Monte Carlo rally, around Britain rally. She was 4'10". She was an absolute tiny woman. And they came out of the factory. Her husband was the biggest Jaguar dealer in the Midlands of England, one of the biggest in the country. They came out of the factory with blocks on the pedals so she could drive it. So she was like a little midget just on top of it. But she was a heck of a driver.
Really steer.
We're talking 50s. The 50s into the 60s.
Wow.
Total pioneer.
Wow.
In cars.
I mean,
Well, they did the
people don't-
150s, but more the 120s.
And the speeds that they did back then, and you think about
Madness.
it. Honestly, and it's like,
With just, if you were lucky, a seatbelt, just a crossbody seatbelt, and that was it.
Isn't it
that was
amazing?
it. You know.
Yeah. And you look at that, like,
They were brave.
when we sit in that D-type, when we got it delivered, when it jumped in it, and there's a bit of a sequence to starting, fuel pumps and all that sort of stuff, and you're like, they built it as original to, I mean, they built it like one-to-one. Like I said, later on in life, it's had a few modernities added to it, but honestly, it's a pure appreciation when you sit behind that and you think, well, this is a one-to-one. They put the mould fibre, like all the rivets, everything. You're sitting there going, I feel pretty privileged. Okay, the original car sold for £27 million in 2016.
You are kidding.
The original car that was built off.
Wow.
Like 300 grand, like it's a nick. Really, it's a nick for that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if I was at my
you'll
old place,
get the same driving experience.
Yeah.
You'll get all the joy, all the fun, and you can drive that.
Yeah.
If you've got a $50-odd million car,
you ain't touching it.
You're not taking it down Chapel Street on a Saturday afternoon, are you?
No way.
I would love to take that. I'd have my little beatbox in the back,
Isn't it?
playing a little bit of ABBA or something like that, going down Chapel Street.
Did that big
my
grouse
God.
chap laps of that?
How good would that
and
be?
all those other tools in there,
good would that
Ferraris and
be?
Lambos, and
Yeah.
you cruise around that, you'd be like,
Jaguar D-type.
Well, isn't it? But like when I was in Sydney, and I'll never forget it. I remember at DeMillions. This is probably 2000. It was 2006, yeah, because I was driving an SLK 55 at the time. It was new, and we traded a DB6 Superleggera, the Basta roof, beautiful silver birch, beautiful car. And I remember classic cars weren't that big. They were, but not really taken off in Australia like they were overseas. But I remember we traded it, and it was the first really old classic car for DeMillions. So we were half shitting ourselves when we were trading. I think I'm going to get shot here. We traded, did the deal, and of course no one was really interested. So I started driving it, and
Madness.
mate, single bloke driving a DB6 in Bondi. Let me tell you, mate, girls are throwing their numbers, mate. I turned up in a Ferrari. They're like, oh, wanker. Just DB6, the class with the car was just like an E-Type. It's just something.
Class and style. And I'm not going to knock, because you've got some beautiful Lambos, you've got some beautiful Ferraris,
but honestly,
some beautiful Porsches. But
that,
you look at the Jaguars, you look at some of the older Porsches, there is style.
That's
class.
Honestly, the E-Type is just like that deep. Like, honestly, it's just. It stops traffic. People even just outside when we're unloading it, and like the boys around, they're like, "Oh wow!" And because it's in the Pura Corsa blue, normally they're in the green. You just don't see it, and it's just so. Honestly, I was sitting there the other day, and sometimes you don't, but I did stop and sort of went, we feel very blessed. It is an amazing lineup in a little shed in Keysborough.
It's pretty cool.
It is, honestly. Even some people came in today and they were like, if someone doesn't know who we are or who I am, or whatever, no big deal, and they just answer the call and yes, Colin, yes. Oh, Shaun, I'm ringing about X, Y, Z. Yes, sir, yes, no problems at all. Look, whereabouts you based? Oh, Colin, I've got a shed in Keysborough. And straight away you're like, the fuck is it? And you're thinking, look, what else have you got? Oh, look, come down. Look, I've got a couple of old Benzes, a couple of old Fords. Yeah, they come up and they're like, what the hell is this place? Is that I've never seen an XJ220 in the real life. And a lot of people haven't. They just remember enough posters and so on.
In my life at the petrol station near where I live.
Really?
I actually did a U-turn on the Joe
I would have.
To go and see.
The guy was filling up. I'm like, what was that? So I went U-turn back down, filling up with fuel at the pump next time, going, that's quite a nice little car you got there. Tell us about it.
It's just crazy.
Other than that one, it's the only one I've ever seen.
Wow.
It's honestly, and that's why, again, just you sit there and you look at it, and we were going, we really push diversity, and we want stuff that everyone can relate to in a sense, and we're blessed that we continually push that side of it, and really, I keep an eye on my competitors, and half the competitors I worked for, ran, or whatever, so I keep an eye on everything, and we're still, the diversity is still our key.
Well, you talk about diversity. If you said to me, Colin, you can take the keys to any one of these cars tonight, which one would I take? Which one would I take? It would be a difficult choice. Over a glass of wine, I might change my mind.
Yeah,
right now, which one would I take?
I think you'd probably take. I reckon you'd probably take the XK or the. I reckon the XK or the. I think the roof.
I'm taking that Land Rover.
I was going to say that.
I am taking that Land Rover. When you talk about diversity.
Too much of a sports person, like sport.
No, I'm not.
But
I'm not.
Because I just think of
I mean, in terms of classic design, classic styling, longevity, iconic status.
Forget
that matches anything you've got.
Yeah, true.
Is it a Mark 1?
E-Type or something like that. It's just something associated.
I would take that every day, and that I would definitely drive down Chapel Street.
Yeah.
And I'd drive back the other way as well.
Yeah.
I'd drive down in the Jaguar, but I'd drive down and back in the Land Rover.
That car there, he's a beautiful client, and because we do storage next door, and when I'm running a bit light on cars, that like the hot rod downstairs, I sold the hot rod months ago, but the guy goes, look, I don't need it for about 5 months, Shawnee, can I do a deal with some storage? I go, yeah, but I'll actually leave it in the showroom because it looks so cool and it's sad to have that parked in there. I've got some beautiful cars in storage, and same with the Land Rover. And he sort of said, look, we sold them probably the best Suffix A in the world, and it was at Goodwood and it had been owned by the Heritage Centre, and a very special car. And he bought it, and we were close to doing a deal going to the UK, but he bought it in local gentleman in Toorak, well, not local, but Toorak anyways. And he goes, look, I've got no room now. I need to store my Series 1.
That his wife doesn't know about it.
How well is that? How true is that story? God, this showroom's full of that. And anyway, so he goes, look, do you mind? And we went, yeah, sweet. I go, what, is it in good condition? He goes, look, it was restored a long time ago, but, it's pretty cool, And I went, yeah. So we got a truck, picked it up. I saw it, I went, no, we're putting that in the showroom. Yeah. And when people said, is it for sale? I said, no, it's not for sale. It's actually a storage car, but it's just cool. Yeah. And it's got to be up there. Yeah. It's no different to that Ferrari. That black Ferrari, the 456, that was owned by Felipe Massa.
Is that right?
Yeah, wow. And Massimo Massa, who's a friend and client of ours, he bought it off him, and he brought the car out to Australia when he migrated. But again, it's in storage, and put it up there. Because one, it's got a grouse story to it, and two, we don't see many triple black 456 manuals, and a great pedigree with it too.
Can I say something else?
Yeah.
I've never heard the word grouse used the way you're using it. Grouse, I'm from Scotland, right? Grouse are two things. You shoot grouse, you drink it.
Yeah.
You drink it, you shoot them.
Yeah.
But it sounds to me like grouse is a bit like sick.
No,
a bit like,
Yes, it is.
Unfortunately,
Is that?
Yeah, look.
Is that a Shaunism or is that
no,
actually?
I wish it was. It's very Aussie, but no matter where I've travelled, and because I'm so fucking ocker, I can't help it. So when I'm talking, like I was in I used to go to LA every year because my cousin lived in Malibu and that. So we used to go there, grouse car scene. But, you go there and I remember walking up to the bar, I go to the bird, I go on, darling, where's a dunny?
Yeah,
and she goes,
some great Aussie words. Yeah.
Sorry? She goes, what'd you say? And I'm going, the dunny. And she's like, the dunny? You're from Australia. I went, oh, fuck, bathroom. And they're like, yeah the dunny. Hey, this guy. And then, oh, fuck. Yeah, that was just so funny. It was just, but yeah, grouse is, when I went to Sydney, they don't say grouse in Sydney. It's a Melbourne thing.
Is that right?
I didn't know that. And I'm like, fuck me, I'm just grouse. Just grouse. And they're like, you're from Melbourne, aren't you? I went, hey? And they go, that's a Melbourne thing. But yeah, just, I don't know. Grouse is
I've just never heard it before.
Awesome.
Never heard it used that way before.
Yeah, awesome.
I'm going to add it to my vocabulary.
Grouse. Well, there's 3 now. You drink it, you say it, or you shoot it.
You shoot it. Yeah, if you want
so,
to.
It is. We're blessed. It's a good selection, and like I said, it's a bit of everything. As I always said, if we get 2 or 3 people at the one time, I'd like to think that I could cater for each one.
Yeah.
And someone has some. And because everything here, there's so many beautiful stories like that. Where's that 356? The beautiful 356.
Yeah.
That was the 1962 International Motor Show car brought out by Norman Hamilton, who was Hamilton's of the day, and then Alan Hamilton's son, brought that car out. It's the first 356 twin grille brought to Australia.
Wow.
How special. And then parked next to it is that beautiful 230 SL Pagoda that was bought new by the ex-premier of WA, Brian Burke.
Right.
How beautiful pedigree.
It's lovely when cars, when old cars have got a history that a story you can tell.
Yeah.
A history is documented.
It's special. It's all documented. You've got letters, you've got certificates from... I was reading it to a client today. I can't even pronounce it in German. I don't know, certificate, or whatever the fuck it was, but certificate from Mercedes-Benz to His Honour Brian Burke, certifying that the cars, all legit and all that sort of stuff. And you got all that documentation. You got newspaper articles of that 356. Then it was the actual car that was in the paper showing this is the really hero car coming to Australia. Like, that's cool. You know what I mean?
Really
That's
It's grouse. Really grouse.
It's grouse. It is. It is grouse. Are you going to Sandown this weekend?
No.
Oh, really?
No. I haven't got any plans for the weekend yet. But what's happening at Sandown?
We got the big.
Sandown is the V8 supercars.
Of all the bloody weekends, So we've got now the V8s. Obviously, our most highest form of motorsport, and in Australia, and now the season is the enduro races.
Right.
So it's the Sandown 500, which is a grouse.
Right.
It's a really good event, and it's 2 days. So it's a 250 lap race.
Wow.
250-kilometre race on the Saturday and then 250 on the Sunday.
Yeah,
And
that's something that would interest
really
me.
good.
But I'm going down to New Zealand next week for the Daybreaker, and Van Gisbergen's there.
Yeah.
So really looking forward to seeing
that'd
him
be
because
big.
he's a talented lad.
Yeah, he's
He
just
is.
yeah.
Like what you were saying
He's
last
just gifted.
episode about that young rally driver who can get in anything and be fast.
That's
Gary
very
Roberts.
good.
SVG is the same.
I think so. And
Has he done rallying much? He hasn't
he's done a
Yeah,
little
he's
bit.
done
a few
Australian Rally
rounds.
He did,
Championship.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he's doing the Australian Championship.
Yeah.
He's done a few rounds in New Zealand, and he's one. We were talking about this on the last episode. The problem with single-seater racers coming into rallying, and the reason that Formula One drivers in general haven't succeeded is because they found it so difficult to trust pace notes, to work with pace notes and trust.
That's right.
pace
Actually, I'm glad you brought that. I wanted to ask that.
When Raikkonen came along,
Yeah.
and we talked about this in the last one. Raikkonen firmly believed he could go as fast as anyone on what he could see, what he could remember, and what he could take in from the odd little pace note. He didn't work that hard on his pace notes, and he crashed a lot, and he was slow.
Yeah.
But Van Gisbergen, on only his second rally, he was quickest on the power stage somewhere, on the final stage of the rally.
Wow.
On his second rally. And I watched it, and I thought, that is a man who is completely committing to the notes he's hearing.
Yeah.
And that is unusual. That is an unusual skill and talent.
To change his
These
mindset.
guys have got as much talent as any other motorsport exponent in the world, single-seaters, rally drivers. But it's that ability to trust the guy next to you, A, to make the right notes, and B, to trust them, and to trust that the guy's going to read them out. And Van Gisbergen's got that. And he's a talent, a special talent. And, we know he's off the States, isn't he, to do IndyCar or something in the States?
NASCAR. Yeah.
But I'd like to see him doing a lot more rallying because I think he could make a real go of it. But he can come back to that, I guess.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? He's one of that. He's just so gifted that doesn't matter what form of motorsport. He just seems to be at the
He'll
front.
win.
He is.
Win.
It'll be interesting, like they say. It'll be interesting how he'll be turning left all the time on the oval tracks
Yeah.
because obviously those guys are just so used to turning left.
It's a different discipline. But again,
when they do the road,
seems to be able to adapt.
But when they do the road courses,
He's on
even
it.
Ambrose used to kick ass. Even they did the road courses because we just are drivers set up and there's their mindset.
So he won the first one that was a street circuit, wasn't it? Didn't he when he went across recently?
Fucking
he win?
mate, straight off
won.
the
Yeah.
mate.
That was a street circuit.
Street
So
circuit and just nailed it.
that was an interesting scenario because it was set up for him to win. Because he's come into not quite like a Red Bull, but he's come into a fast team.
Fast team.
It is the first NASCAR street race ever.
Right.
So every other driver on the grid has
All
never
blank,
driven
level playing
with
field.
against walls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he comes in, having raced on street circuits like this his entire career.
Yeah.
So it was just set up for him to win. And even he said in the interview that in the Friday practice and the Saturday morning, he could see all the other drivers inching closer towards the wall each session as they got more and more confident.
Yeah.
But lap one, session one, he was
on
I
it.
thought because it's just what he does.
Yeah.
So that race was set for him to win.
Right. So the oval racing is a different challenge, and
He went back and did an
And a
oval
lot of
race.
the NASCAR boys were saying, we'll see how he goes in oval racing, which is true. It's a whole different setup and what they're used to. But I just think he's just so gifted. I just think he'll probably get a couple of races or a couple of overlaps because they're all so different. Get used to the way the setup is because of that staggered bloody tyres and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He'll have the right team around him because they can see the talent in him.
Yeah.
And he'll be
He's a
massive
bright
baking.
lad. I've spoken to him a couple of times, and what strikes me is just how detailed he is, how analytical he is, how intelligent he is.
Yeah.
And if you're going to switch disciplines in motorsport, you have to have a degree of intelligence to know what elements you're going to take from rallying into circuit, into whether street circuit or oval. And he's got something about him that says, I can deal with all this.
But isn't it amazing? I mean, like, I've never really seen anyone from rallying come to Formula One, but you've had a few boys have tried to go there, and they all sadly put it into the wall.
Well, here's the thing.
Kubica was that's.
No, Kubica was great. We talked about this on that you missed the last episode.
I mean, Kubica was good, but that was a
Kubica-
bad situation. That accident
Kubica's
that he
as
had.
close to a hero as I've got in motorsport.
Yes.
And he is a disabled driver, no question about it. But he is also the most intelligent driver I've ever met in my life, and the most determined. I remember the first. I've had dinner with Robert a couple of times. The first dinner I had with him, I came away thinking, you're delusional, because he was talking about getting back into Formula One. The guy there was nothing.
Correct.
There was half an arm there.
Yeah.
And he was saying, look, you know, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do rallying because I love rallying. I can still do it. There's an opportunity here. I've been offered DTM, but that's a step down from, you know, if I go back to circuit racing. He was offered lots of money to do DTM. I said, but I'm still determined to get back into Formula One. I thought, you're delusional. You're completely delusional because you're disabled. Not that you lack talent, but you're disabled.
Yeah.
And Formula One is the pinnacle. What happened 4 or 5 years later? Yeah. I cried. Yeah. I genuinely, when he was back in that race, I thought, that is just
pure
the most inspirational story.
Yeah.
You know, and and at that point he thought, yeah, I've done it. You know, I've done it. That's fine. I don't have to prove anything, you know, anything more now. I've done it. I got back. And he'll do whatever he wants to do now. I think he's doing DTM now and various things. But Kubica, had he had a factory drive, would have won rallies, even with his disability.
Wow.
But others, we've had the likes of Raikkonen and various others from Formula One, and it is quite entertaining watching them.
They just can't get their mind around it.
No. But you're right. We haven't seen rally drivers going the other way. But you know, rally drivers are a particular breed, and
they are. Aren't
it'll
they?
happen with Rovanperä. Rovanperä will do. I'm pretty certain.
Really.
He'll do plenty of single seaters, and whether that's NASCAR,
sure,
DTM, or Formula One, maybe he'll be young enough when he leaves rallying.
Yeah. It would be good to see. It would clear a lot of.
Has there been anyone that's gone across from rallying to Formula One?
Well, he would be the first, right?
Not successfully. You know, there are plenty of rally drivers that have driven Formula One cars.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, when you have brands that are sponsoring Formula One rallying, you have the cross, and they equip themselves well. Sebastian Loeb, 9 times world rally champion, was refused. He was offered a seat by Red Bull in Formula One. Was refused a super license to drive in Formula One.
Isn't it?
He tested, and so he did one of these, you know, Jerez tests or Barcelona, whatever. You know, they have where everyone tests on the same circuit. Something like 11th quickest out of 20 cars.
Okay.
You know, they refused him a super license. So that was his one opportunity. He had one opportunity to do a Formula One race, and the FIA wouldn't give him a super license.
Wow.
So he could have done it. But then you look at Sebastian Ogier.
Yeah.
8 times world champion.
Yeah.
He went to do World Sports Cars, was it? WEC.
Oh, yeah.
He just couldn't get to grips with it. Couldn't get to grips with it.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's interesting. But I think Rovanperä is different.
Drivers.
Yeah.
Definitely different. We saw that with the hyper races, because we had Cameron Waters from V8 Supercars come in and set the fastest lap time anyone has ever done in a hyper racer. And then we had Zach Best, who was a Super 2 up-and-comer, who's driving with James Courtney at Sandown this weekend. And he just could not adapt to the car. Complete opposite. I beat him. He just couldn't adapt.
But it's
it was
a combination
really
of things,
interesting.
isn't it? You know, I talked to a young lad who came from karting into rallying. And top-level karting is almost more expensive than rallying. I was astonished.
I can't believe the money.
I was astonished at the amount of money he was spending. But his dad said it was just utterly frustrating. He was the quickest. Single lap, the quickest driver out there. Put him in amongst traffic, he had no idea how to race.
Yeah.
Really?
No idea how to race amongst traffic. And that's the thing, isn't it? You know, rally drivers don't race.
No.
Rally drivers don't. They go fast. They're disciplined. They're time trials. They're single car time trials.
Yeah.
So to find a rally driver with the ability to do what they do on stages, which is phenomenal, and to race at the highest level, that would be rare. I think Rovanperä could be the man that actually, once he gets into single seaters, once he gets into circuit racing, we will see something very special. Very special.
Do you think that they've brought that new, you know, that sort of closed circuit Rallycross. Is that to sort of open up the market more, or is that just another form of trying to entertain with rallying to make it more closed with a bunch of cars on the circuit, which is not normally the normal?
Rallycross is, for me, it's just the only thing that's in common with rallying is the word rally.
That's it's just like a rally racing, just in a circuit in a sense on dirt, isn't it?
It's moderately entertaining.
Certainly, and that's what I wondered why they did it.
Entertaining, but. Yeah, it's. I think it was a commercial opportunity more than anything.
100%.
Someone saw an opportunity to do something a bit different, and let's give this a go.
I missed. I was watching some of the old rally clips where, you know, Michelle would just jumping over this, and everyone's 2 seconds getting out of the way, not even just parting the seas. They're coming down. You're going, how many people didn't they show on camera got knocked out the fucking with these cars? Like, they just unbelievable.
What's astonishing is you look back at those images and you look back at those videos and you think, hundreds of people must have died.
Yeah.
There's
Because
no way.
you put the back end out, you get a little bit of oversteer,
Yeah.
and you're swiping 10, 15 people. There were 2 or 3 horrific accidents,
Yeah.
but that was it. But again, we talked about it in the last episode. What did happen regularly is the cars would come back into service with fingers in the grills. People that lost their fingers
Trying to
from
touch them in the car.
cars.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
That happened regularly.
I heard that.
You know.
Burgess was telling me that. He was going, mate, Shaun,
wow.
these fucking lunatics. They just
loonies,
fucking-
absolute
They
loonies.
just want to touch it, mate. It was like God. Like
Yeah.
you see the pure passion and dedication. These guys are like, getting mouths full of dust and rocks as the thing's flying past them at a million miles
like-
an hour. They're like,
Yeah.
just touching. It was like
A religious experience, almost like a religious experience.
That's
for
what I
them,
mean. It was like,
you know?
look at these guys, and you're like, look at the intensity and passion and love as this thing's flying past them that will just rip off their arm, and they just, and you go, can you imagine?
Thank God you took my arm. That car took my arm. You know, I gave it up for Michelle Mouton.
Isn't it amazing? Isn't it?
Those were the
Very special.
You could say the good old days. You might call them the bad old days. There was a lot in rallying in the 80s and the 90s, which was just untouchable. But there was a lot that was just bonkers as well.
Yeah.
An awful lot that was bonkers.
Yeah,
you know?
it was crazy.
And thank goodness, Michelle's very, very heavily involved still.
Really?
Every
With Audi
rally-
or just in
every
rally in
she's
general?
Still involved in rallying. She's the FI safety delegate, whatever you call it.
okay.
So she goes round every stage.
So you'd see her when you go,
yeah, she's there. She
Wow.
drives every stage. She takes her job unbelievably seriously.
amazing.
Rallying, I would put a fair bit of it down to her, is now safer than it's ever been.
Really?
For spectators.
Wow.
For spectators.
Yeah.
And that's her job, her responsibility. And
She's probably thinking, how many people did I take fingers? Oh,
Well, yeah.
we're going to change this.
No, she's a heck of a lady still. A heck of a driven and determined
Yeah,
lady.
amazing.
Yeah, no, I love her. What do you think? She's the only woman that's ever succeeded at the very highest
At that
level of
level,
motorsport.
yeah.
Still, we're talking, 40 years ago.
Wow.
30, 40 years ago. And you wonder why it never kicked off.
Yeah.
You've got a role, and it wasn't just Michelle, it was Fabrizio Pons, her co-driver. It was the two of them.
Yes.
It was,
Yeah.
they won, was it 5 rounds of the World Rally Championship, came that close to winning the title.
Oh,
And you think, if that's not the kind of role model, the kind of impetus you
Yeah.
need to see more women coming into the sport. But
Is that just maybe not encouraged from the sport itself, or just whatever?
Just society. Sadly, you know what it's like. You've been around motorsport for long enough. Things are, thank goodness, changing now.
Yeah.
But it has been, traditionally a very male-dominated environment, and women at times felt excluded from it.
Yeah.
Not Michelle, thank goodness.
No, mate,
She
legend.
was a bit special.
Yeah, I mean, of all the people I'm thinking of, I thought of her straight away because it's just, this bloody Audi just.
You're thinking of that
dancing
jump
and
at Faf as well in Portugal.
I just,
where
it's
it was
just
huge. I
things
could
like
see
I,
it, and,
I just think of those things, and I just think like, mate, the airborne, and you think of the cars compared to the cars now and the cars back then, and like you look at some of these new WRC cars, and they look like spaceships with the fins and the new Hyundais and and you just think going, fuck, these things are animals. But then you look at even the Lancias and. Oh my God! Like the cars and the airs and the suspension travel, and like they were just unbelievable.
But
like
they were basic cars in those days. They were basic cars. But they were. We talk about Formula One. Henry Toivonen was a prodigious talent.
Yep.
An unbelievable talent. Sadly, was killed in a crash in Corsica, 86 or 7, I think it was. But that year, he tested I think it was the S4 at Estoril on a tyre test around the Formula One circuit. His fastest time would have put him 7th on the grid for the Formula One event that year.
Wow.
Enormous horsepower. Wow. That car would develop, if you turned the boost up, it wouldn't give you many kilometres. If you turned the boost up, 800 horsepower. But, basic suspension, basic brakes. You don't try and stop the car because the brakes were shit. But my God, it was a rocket and it stuck to the road. Yeah. But they've come a long way, rally cars, since then.
It's unbelievable.
Thank
it's
goodness.
just amazing. I mean, you just look at it. Yeah, just compared to what they were then to what they are now, and they really are. They're like spaceships.
But what they were then is they were a proving ground for what the manufacturers could do.
Yeah.
4-wheel drive,
Yeah.
flappy paddles,
Yeah.
all that stuff. These incredible suspension and braking systems. A lot of that was proven in rallying. And it's kind of hopefully where things will go in the future, because that's what you need for motorsport to be successful.
They're never going to go to...
Marketing, it's all well and good saying your motorsport is about marketing. Well, it's got to be a bit more than that.
Yeah.
You know, it's got to be, you know, it's actually got to have a relevance. It's got to be about, you know, you're proving there has to be some link to what goes on in the showrooms, what goes on 100%. In the street.
And I think rallying is probably more so than Formula One.
That's what we were talking about last episode.
Yes, we talked about much more so.
Totally.
And going forward, we talked an awful lot in the last episode about one of your pet subjects, about about sustainable fuels or electric or hydrogen.
Rally's not going to go that way, are they?
It's not. It's not, thank goodness. It's going to go, sustainable fuel.
Okay, yeah, so works. Hydrogen or whatever, who knows.
Hydrogen maybe.
But they're not electric. They're not talking about electric, are they?
Electric is now, by the looks of things, is off the cards.
Good.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Shit.
Which means
imagine that.
It means they have to innovate. They have to innovate.
Nah.
Oh, it's awful.
Here's the dirt noise. Just...
We've had a few. We've had a few. Hayden Paddon in New Zealand. He's worked wonders developing an electric Kona. But the sound, oh my goodness me.
I mean, like, yeah.
It's all part of it. The sound is 25% of the kind of
especially when they're on
experience.
Full noise, when they're in the air. Wow, bang, it's just, come on,
bang, and they're off. Oh my God.
Come on, it's just great. Honestly, I couldn't
a man that agrees with you entirely is Akio Toyoda from Toyota, the boss
100%.
Of
well, they're
he said it's all about the combustion engine.
100%.
Motorsport doesn't exist without the combustion engine.
Seriously, there's that best clip is the, you know, and I don't know how many times I've posted with the laughing emojis that take up the whole line, and you see the Formula E going around Monaco.
Yeah.
You're laughing, and then you see the Formula, and then when they do the other one where they're trying to do a donut in the Formula E, and it's like nothing. It's just nothing.
It's just smoke.
And you see everyone just start like they clip to this Goodfellas where they're all laughing and carrying on, and then you see the Formula One car just light it up, and you're like, you can't even compare. And then they're building all this stuff. They're going under the ground and all this shit for the thing. Yeah, because otherwise it's boring as shit. You have to go loops and loops and play like a Hot Wheels
It's not just boring. You know, you buy one of your cars because you're emotionally attached to them. Whatever it is, whether it's that wonderful Land Rover or that really expensive.
It's analog, it's real.
But it's about an emotional attachment.
Yeah.
You know, motorsport gets you emotionally. Because of what the guys are doing, because of the risk, because of the dangers, because of the speeds, but because of the smells, because of the throbbing air, because of the sound, all of those things get you emotionally. Yeah. Electric just has completely the opposite effect.
Yeah.
It makes you go, yuck, I hate this, it's awful.
No, it's just, anyway, it's...
I know that's been a common point of debate for you boys.
Look, it has been,
down that road.
It'll never change. I'm never going to change. I am a dinosaur, as they all call me. Couldn't give a shit. Never have that. Never have an electric car here. Not interested. There's nothing. You know, there's everything here. You start up if it starts. If the battery's not flat, but like, you know, it just the smell and the fumes, and it's just so real. You know, that crunch, because I didn't put the clutch in properly. You know what I mean? Like, it's just little things like I had a young guy come, made an inquiry, right, and he came over and he he was blown away by the joint. And then he came to look at a little Honda.
Oh, I've seen it, the wee yellow thing downstairs. What a cracking wee beast that is.
What a grouse little thing, right?
So that is a Honda S660. It's on our website.
It's called the K car, which I had no idea what that was about, but basically due to all the restrictions in Japan and pollution and smog and all the usual stuff and save the trees and all that crap, they build a car that's no more than 660 cc's. And out of all of them, the Honda is deemed to be probably the most funnest or the best one to drive. It's like a mini NSX. It's mid-engine. It revs. It's a little 6-speed short shift.
On
Targa
paper,
roof.
It's an Alpine A110 or
Basically,
a Lotus Elise.
yeah.
It's mid-engined, rear-wheel drive, manual gearbox, and it is the size of a Lotus. It's tiny.
It's good
Fun to
fun.
drive.
Yeah. And this young guy goes, look, you know, I don't know what he rocked up in, and obviously it must have been an auto, because when he came in and he was like having a look at everything, and he's like, oh, you know, wow. And I showed him the S660, and he's like, you know, I can't drive manual. And I went, sorry? He goes, I can't drive manual. I go, well, fuck me, mate. You're not fucking learning in my car. And he's like, oh, well, I really want one, but I can't drive manual. I go, yeah, you've told me that, brother. So we've got a massive issue here, mate. Because the car's manual and you're going to cost too much to turn it into an auto. He's like, well, and I said,
that's
look.
a generation. A generation are going to grow up just driving automatic.
They say the best alarm, best anti-theft is buy a manual.
Yeah.
Half the pricks can't drive it.
You've got some fantastic motorsport photographers in Australia.
Yeah.
And there's a guy, I won't name him completely, his name's Matt from Western Australia. And he came out to a round of the World Rally Championship last year.
Yeah.
Crumbs, I've known Matt, he's been around for 15 years. He must be in his mid-30s. Really top-level photographer. And the two guys he's with look ashen. They look completely ashen. And Matt's behind the wheel looking a bit determined. And they pulled up. Hey, what's going on, boys? Oh, Jesus. Matt's hired the car. It's like, yeah. It's a manual. Yeah. He's never driven a manual. And he's been driving around this rally in this manual hire car. And I, how's he doing it? They went, yeah, he's doing it. But he'd gone across, and fair play to him. He's gone, all we've got is a manual.
Yeah.
Well, I either take it or I miss the rally. I'll take it.
I'll take it.
Right.
Yeah.
How do I do this?
Yeah. I couldn't. So the guy goes,
Credit
look,
to him,
Fair
actually.
play.
Yeah,
Fair
100%.
play. Fair play. He didn't crash it. It went back in one piece, as far as I understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, kids these days, they're all
couldn't.
learning in these.
And you could see him just looking at it going, and I went, look, I was in between clients. I mean, he was coming in, and I said, look, do you want me to take you for a little squirt? And he's like, would you? And I go, you're not driving, but I'll take you for a little drive. And he's like, oh, yeah, Grace, on a weekend, there's no one here. It's nice open roads and just nice and windy and just gave it a little bit, driving it out. And he's like, wow. And you could see him just watching me. And I'm like, I go, mate, do you really think you can deal with this? And he's like, yeah, I think I could. And I'm like, okay, well, go and get some lessons and come back and see me, mate. What else do I say?
Simple as that.
I didn't know what else to say because I said, mate, you're not driving it. And I just gave him an experience and he's like, yeah, okay, cool. And I rang him up a week later. I go, mate, so how are we going? And he goes, yeah, no, I just can't do it. I went, all right, mate. That's just, what do you say? And I was like, wow, okay, cool. And like when we were running an ad, we were looking for some people just do a bit of casual sort of thing. Sunday and that young guys, I can't drive manual. Well, you're going to have a fucking big problem here, mate. Because 80% of the cars are manual.
Particularly trying to get them parked in here. Clutch control.
Yeah.
You don't want to learn clutch control down there,
honestly,
do you? You don't want to learn clutch
people
control.
sit there, like, sometimes we're moving a car around or whatever, and they're just like, what? And, we've just been doing it. So, like, we just know, like, especially like my brother and that who are new to the industry, and we're going, you just watch us. And they can't help it. Human nature, like, no, watch me. If you smash the car, don't worry about it. Just watch me. And they're like, what? And you get to a point where me and him, mate, we'll be doing 360s and we won't touch anything. We're milling this because you're so used to it. But it's amazing when you get them out there like...
Complete trust.
Yeah.
Like a co-driver.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
100%. 100%. It's only now, like my brother Stevie and Funny and a couple of they're like, and I get angry. I go, I don't care. You're not going to hit a car. And if you do, you're not paying for it. Just watch me. Do not take my eyes off. And they're like, yep. And they get this, yep, bump, bang, dead straight. Now it's funny. But when you see it, like...
It's an art form.
Honestly,
moving a car as a pair is an art form.
Yeah, it is. Yep. Especially in these tight things. Yeah, it is. It really is.
I picked up that skill at Lawbeck. Because we did it a lot at Lawbeck.
Yeah, we did it, yeah.
And there's hand signals and you learn the hand signals and...
Yep.
It's cool.
Yeah. You get to know it. Yeah, same when we were at Dutton's because it's such a long showroom. And again, we don't do test drives, very minimal. But when you had to, it was a bit of a theatre production. Yeah. And especially we got people sitting in the restaurant. And you're driving past and a bit of theatre. And Manny was the best. It was Manny and me. Manny was my yardie. And, mate, no one could get out of that showroom quicker than me and Manny and just be in and out. Just like you and I, bang, in and out, done. Again, it's pure trust. Yeah. You're talking $2-3 million cars. You're driving next to $2-3 million cars and you're just, mate, no, never once, touch wood, never once. Wow. Yeah. Never once. Not once. Yeah. I remember once at Shreko's, one of the cleaners, this is the old joint. I was sitting there, we heard this bang!
Oh, no.
Started the car, in gear, in reverse, jump back. And big... And they're like, explode. They explode when they go off. It's like tempered glass. It just... Bang! It sounded like a bomb going off. Then we had to deal with fucking Shrek, It was crazy. But, yeah, that's the thing. It's you don't know and you panic with new guys and that sort of stuff. And you do because they don't know. They think they do, but they don't. Yeah. And you're going this and they're turning the opposite way. And you're like, oh, God. Especially this confined environment, it's hard.
I tell you what, the other skill I picked up is telling how, like, where the fenders are on the car, the bodywork. Especially because a lot of these things, you sit in them and you can't sit, you sit so low in them because they're sports cars, you can't see the bonnets or anything.
Yeah.
The ability to walk around a car and go, that's how big it is, get in it, and then understand, like, pulling
the dimensions
2 inches away from another car or something.
Yeah.
It's great. Whenever we have to pull the other side of the showroom out for photos, we line them up against the mural wall outside, and I can park a Lamborghini, a Bentley, a Porsche, whatever it is. I've never spent time with any of these cars properly. I've just gotten in them to move them. And you can go and stand at the wall and they will all be 2 inches off the wall.
Yeah. You've got an empty car park out there this evening. Yeah. I went into a parking space and then I reversed back. So don't ask me if you were in an empty car park. In an empty car park, I had 2 goes at getting my car straight between the lines in an empty car park.
Well, that's why at least you park straight. Some people just park and get out.
Yeah. No, I couldn't do that. I had to have it straight, but it was literally, no, I better reverse this back. Not good. No, I'm not going to claim to be anything more than just moderately proficient. Not like you boys. I can enjoy watching you doing those things and appreciate the skill and the talent.
Yeah. Well, some people do. They just watch and they go, it's like a bit of poetry.
Like a bit of ballet. It's almost like a bit of, high-priced vehicle ballet. Moving around beautifully.
And all you just see is hand signals and you just in and out. And it's just, it is. You forget, you take it for granted. But a lot of people are like, oh my God, they're like, oh, look, this and it's all good, no stress. In and out.
Yeah.
Do you think that you're going to get rally big back in Australia again?
No, again, it's something we discussed a little bit in the last one. Not until there is a will at the very highest level. And I don't see any of that right now. No. I don't see any of it. I don't see anything.
Did you think the Australian rally was good?
Australian rally was the best, one of the very, very best in the world. And Coffs Harbour, for some reason, there were 1 or 2 people very high up in rallying who had something against Coffs Harbour, but it was the perfect rally venue for me.
Wow.
You had
That's big to say from you.
You had an airport 2 or 3 k's from the service park. You had a community that were welcoming. You had roads that were different, that looked great. Okay, maybe they weren't typical Western Australian outback roads or, the outback roads that you get here, but they were Shire roads, they were entertaining roads, they were challenging roads.
Yep.
And you had an organising team that was absolutely 5-star. They were the gold standard, the organisers in Australia. Michael Massey was involved, in Rally Australia for a number of years before he went to Formula One. I mean, that's the quality. Guys like Ben Rainsford and others, okay? You're a McLaren fan. You are a McLaren fan. So
Mercedes.
Mercedes.
Well, McLaren's Mercedes and Mercedes.
You can't see beyond that incident.
No, I haven't built the bridge over Abu Dhabi. I haven't. I've even been told, because now he's with V8, and I'm very blessed to very close with the brass at V8.
He's a quality operator.
No, he is. He is.
And you'll debate that incident.
No, I will always.
Never be an answer
but I'm a diehard. But that's the passion about it. But I see Michael here going, no stress, all good. I haven't built the bridge over it, but professionally courteous and respect. And mate, I'm no one. He's someone fucking serious. You know what I mean? So I've got to respect the man.
And he does a great job. He did a great job in rallying, and you have an enormously capable rallying community here. But there is a lack of will. By the looks of things, I might be wrong, and I'm quite happy to debate this with anyone from Motorsport Australia. There seems to be a lack of will to put something together that's coherent, that's well thought through, that's well supported, that's harmonious amongst the various different rallying communities. Rallying is too small a sport to have enormous factions. And you have factions within Australia that is utterly corrosive and divisive. Until everyone pulls together.
Very
when
true.
everyone pulls together, you have the best rally community in the world. When you are led by people at the top who know where they're going, who are telling you an honest story where there's no bullshit, there's no agenda. You have a community who can make things happen. And you have some of the best drivers, everything. But right now, I just cannot see it happening in the certainly not the short term. The medium term even looks a bit dodgy for me. But there's always hope, because you do have some very talented, some very special people who are enormous rally fans. There are some people out there who will put their own money into bringing Rally Australia back to these shores, and that's sad, because it should be Motorsport Australia that are doing it, but they get sidetracked. You get a successful event.
Is it? Do you think it's maybe they feel that there's not enough support for so many categories? So let's just keep them centralised on 1 or 2 or 3 main categories. Do you think that could be the reason? Or
I don't know what the reason is. I don't know. I think you
you've
have an
been around the
enormously
world. You've been doing
successful
this so
Formula
long,
One
at so
event,
many different
and-
levels,
yeah.
and so many different countries, so many different organisations. See all the different factions and all the different things in terms of the way they do. So, like, you are probably one of the best fucking people to say it in terms of, well, I reckon it could be X, Y, Z. I mean, do you find that the rallies, because I mean, it's so dedicated and passionately followed in Europe. I mean, like, it's just, is it the tarmac rally? Or is it the dirt rally? Or is it a combination? Do you think? Or
But it's the great thing about rallying is the variety we've got, the diversity we've got. You know, it's tarmac, it's gravel, it's fast gravel, slow gravel.
Yeah.
It's highway like tarmac of Spain or twisted tarmac like Corsica, San Remo, those places. There's just so much variety. I don't think that's the issue, and I don't. I think with anything, it is really down to 1 or 2 characters. If you have someone at the top of the sport who is a rally fan and that can push the rally agenda,
the influence,
then you will have at least the impetus there to investigate the opportunities and to push forward the possibilities. Right now, I don't see any of that going on. And I might be missing something. Genuinely, I might be, but I don't think I am.
No.
And it's not too complicated. It's not too expensive. Yes, it's rallying at the very highest level now.
it's nowhere near the budgets of Formula One or anything.
Nothing like that. But you need money. You need money
course.
to make it happen. There's a fee to the FIA, there's a fee to the promoter, there's a cost of putting on a World Rally Championship event. And we're talking not hundreds of thousands of dollars, we're talking millions per round.
Yeah.
So to find a sponsor that can see the value in that is not easy. Your sponsorship is always a difficult sell. But where the value comes in rallying and where you find the successful rallies thrive, they thrive on the backing of national and local governments, because they see the value.
Yeah.
What rallying gives that Formula One doesn't, that MotoGP doesn't, that Supercars doesn't, it gives you a flavour of where you're at.
Yeah.
When we come to Australia, we're in regional Australia. We're in Coffs Harbour. We're out in the Shires. We're out in Bellingen. We're out, you see, and it's like the Tour de France. Why is the Tour de France so successful? Because each and every town, village, community that the Tour de France passes through pays. They pay to be highlighted. They pay to be showcased.
Yeah.
People are watching these wonderful heli shots of this beautiful countryside thinking, I want to be there.
Yeah.
And it's sellable. And that's the same with rallying. And you find we go to Chile in a few weeks' time, and the Bio region, Bio, I don't know how you pronounce it, Bio, they're the ones that are backing it, and they see the value of bringing a world-class event, world-class competition, stunning pictures, stunning video. They see the value of that being distributed around the world.
Yeah. Yep.
So, in Australia, it does require. This is the really frustrating thing, is the last time we had a round of Rally Australia, I remember sitting in the annual awards ceremony. Australia was the last round of the season. We were on the harbour in Sydney. It was absolutely gorgeous. It was a beautiful night. And we had the tourism minister from the New South Wales government saying, as long as we're here in power, this rally will be supported. And that was the last time. Because someone let that drop. Someone let that drop. I don't know who. But you don't often get, or you don't always get that kind of support, that kind of backing.
Yeah.
But when you do, it works, and it works for rallying. So, no, these things can turn around very, very quickly. We didn't go back to Greece. We lost Greece for 8 or 9 years.
Really? Was that long, was it?
Yeah, we're now back to Greece. We're loving it, and it's just a great
That was the
event.
Acropolis Rally, wasn't it?
Acropolis Rally, one of the mainstays of the championship, one of the classic rallies.
It was
hardest,
that long.
toughest.
I didn't know it was out that long. Shit.
Yeah, it was out for a long time.
Wow.
Long time. But it's back now, and hopefully it'll be back for a period of time. But these things change. Politicians, political parties change. People's, their influences, their priorities change, and money goes. And when money goes, the rally sadly goes. But back to my original point, for any of this to happen, you have to have, a ASN, so the sporting regulators. There has to be a will there.
Yeah.
And if the will is there, then it'll
Get momentum.
have a likelihood. And I just don't see it happening.
Sad. New Zealand seems to be more rally conscious than bloody Australia.
Australia's got a good rally community. New Zealand has got an unbelievable rally community.
And they've got some old cool escorts and stuff like that. Mate, honestly, brother, when you get there, mate, honestly.
If you love your escorts, Otago Rally, I was blown away. I went there for the first time 4 or 5 years ago, and there had to be 40 Mark II escorts, all beautifully prepared. And then you've got a mad RX-7. You've got, you've just got such...
It's such a great car culture. It's awesome.
Guys that are allowed the kind of... they're allowed the input into their cars. It's not too heavily regulated.
That's the difference.
These are guys with engineering ability. They want to try different things. It's Von Klink's the driver. He's got this mad RX-7 with... like that Subaru in the corner, a big Subaru World Rally Car wing on the back of it. It works.
Yeah.
How it works, I've got no idea.
Yeah.
But it's what rallying's about. Rallying is about saying to folk, you've got a bit of engineering know-how, a bit of imagination. Go and work that car, get it to work.
Yeah.
And do what you want with it. And they do that in New Zealand to a degree.
Yeah, no,
and it really works.
Just brilliant. It's so good over there. Just everything, the rally scene, the racing scene, the accessibility is the big key.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Accessibility, we were talking about this. I mean, like, really, Winton's the only track that has some form of an accessibility in the sense you can go there. It's not much real headache, not like anywhere else.
Yeah.
Everywhere else is just too hard. Maybe if they get called or going again, it will be good, but still.
Calder's picking up.
Yeah.
That's
sad.
That's just, that's the reality of living in Australia, surely. And what is great is that, to succeed in Australia in terms of motorsport, you've got to work twice as hard, 3 times as hard, 4 times as hard. Hayden Paddon worked harder than any young driver I knew to get his chance in the World Rally Championship because he comes from New Zealand. The same with, the 1 or 2 drivers. We've seen Chris Atkinson from Australia and others. They have to work that much harder. And everything you do, to do the Australian Rally Championship, to do the V8 supercars or whatever, the support championships, it's not as if you just get in your car and drive 2 or 3 hours down the road.
No.
2 or 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
We had guys coming to South Australia for this rally that we did, the Heartland Rally, that were leaving on the Sunday night to head back to Perth in the car that they'd driven in the rally. Driven it back.
Yeah.
They were heading back across the Nullarbor, whatever it is, all the way back to Perth. And it's like, jeez.
Dedicated.
Yeah, but that's what makes real fanatics. It makes people that are really invested in their sports.
Yeah.
They've got a passion for their sport.
Yeah.
So if you're putting that much effort in and you're generating that much passion and dedication and your devotion to the sport, then how come we're struggling with it?
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
I don't know. I blame the people at the top.
Generally fish rods from the head, isn't it?
Yeah.
Some agendas. I mean, we've got so many different racing categories here and we don't really even have the support, really. When you think about it.
No, there's so many different
Honestly,
problems.
there is. There's so many different categories. There's so many different entries into sport, and they're all... I mean, we were just talking with the boys next door. Like, they've gone... Well, he's not racing at Winton this weekend. He's gone to the Bend.
Nice.
Matt's gone to the Bend. So the boys next door at Apex, they're into the Hyundai Racing Series.
Yeah.
And they've got the Melbourne or the Victorian Championship. They've got the South Australian Championship, Queensland Championship. So he thought, fuck it, I'll go and crash the South Australian round. Right. So he just went there. He's driven up there. The Hyundai XLs. Little Hyundai XLs. So like your Toyota 86s and all that. These small little control categories.
Yeah.
We used to have Mitsubishi Mirages back in the day. And then they moved to Hyundai's XLs. But it's like a bit of a smash-up derby in a sense. You got like 30, 40 blokes, mist on, helmet on, mate, just all bloody banging guards. And like now cars are 35, 40 grand for these fucking Hyundais that were $500 from the shitters. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so expensive now. It's got even just for that now. And you think about it, there's nothing cheap. There's nothing cheap about even cheap motorsport. There's nothing cheap about cheap motorsport.
But again, we talked about this on the previous episode that the kids that want to get into motorsport, kids that want to get into rallying, the cheapest way to do it is single venue rallying. In the little 1,000, 1,500 cc cars. But even that now, if they have to do these 3-day tests and 3-day, and just the whole thing becomes prohibitively expensive. And if you cut off the lifeblood, which is the youth, which is people trying the sport for the first time and coming.
You've got no one coming through to replace, and it's sad.
We're all getting old, and the whole sport's going to get old. The demographic gets old, and then it gets replaced with remote control car racing or sim racing. I know you're into sim racing.
No, but it'd be sad if we ended up getting into real sim racing and no more motorsport, because that's what it is. I mean, even I'd be feeling sad about that. I mean, I think it's good access for me, but no, man. I mean, it's not. You want that, and that's the thing. I think I like to think that we've got such a car culture still in Australia. I really like to think that, you know, it's going to be a while before.
I don't think it'll ever die. I think you'll always have a car culture, I think we'll always have motorsport, and we'll always have motorsport that attaches emotionally to people who follow it.
I hope so.
You know, we will. We absolutely will. And the problem for me with things like sim racing and remote control racing is that, you know, it takes out a whole load of the emotion.
Yeah.
Because the jeopardy is not there. Because the individual, you know, individual jeopardy is not there.
Yeah,
which is
very true.
For me, is the absolute single most important part of motorsport. You know, it is, you know, a person in that car doing that.
Yeah, he's making that
risks,
call, doing that job. Yeah,
it's someone behind the wheel, and that for me is, you know, and then the rest of it comes from that. You know, the appreciation comes from it.
Yeah,
you know, but yeah, no, I don't think we'll ever lose it.
Yeah, the mindset. That's one. I mean, I've been blessed to know a lot of people in motorsport at high levels, races and so on, but I've never really known anyone that close in rallying. But there seems to be open wheel at tin top. Doesn't matter that these rallying blokes, so they're a special breed, mate.
Yeah.
And you sit there and you do the inside cockpit, and the thing's doing 150, 160 k's an hour, jumping past the trees, full lock, sideways. Just he's got 5 corners already mapped in his head, and the guy's just looking down, not even looking, just reading the notes, and you're sitting there going, these guys are on 11 tenths, just on it, absolutely on it. And when they do stack, they're just like,
yeah.
You're right. You're okay. Yeah, all right. And she's on the roof. Oh, she'll go again. Let's go. Everything's all fucked, and they're full up on the stage and missing ribs, and you're like, yeah, you guys are special, man.
Yeah, I must say the pace notes is something that amazes me.
Yeah.
I was having dinner with Brendan Reeves
Brendan,
at an Australian tarmac rally.
Lovely
and I
guy.
asked him about it because it's something I've always been very curious about. And I asked him about the pace notes, and he literally said to me, we could go to a road right now that I have never been to in my life, never driven once ever. If you give me someone with pace notes next to me, I can take that road at 95%. Flat chat, off we go, no worries. And that just blew my mind.
It's incredible. It's an incredible discipline to be a co-driver, but for a driver to be able to write the notes, because the driver writes the notes.
Yes.
You know, the driver.
So when they do the wrecking,
So they do. Most rallies now are limited recce, so you get two passes on. The
so can
special
I
stage.
ask that? So, okay, you go to Corsica, right? And then you got all the teams, okay, so they do the wrecking in their rally car? No,
they used to. So they used to do, back in the 80s, the Group B era, it was incredible because they would recce in not their rally cars, but the same car. So your Audi Quattros, you had a fleet of Audi Quattros that would recce. And then the Group A era, it was the same. But no, so there are rules that govern the type of car you can recce in. But they tend to like to be four-wheel drive cars.
Yes.
Left-hand drive.
So they used to
left-hand drive. And a similar sort of height, to the actual rally car. But yeah, you're driving. The biggest problem with the recce is it's speed limited. So 2 passes and speed limited. So you're at a maximum speed of 80 kilometres an hour on the recce.
Which is not a lot.
Not a lot, but that is on sections of road that have a speed limit of 80 kilometres an hour or more. You go through some sections where the posted speed limit, 30, 40 kilometres an hour, that's your limit on the recce.
Wow, okay.
So you're driving these sections in your car and you're making notes for a car that will be, hitting 200 kilometres an hour in seconds and will be braking to nothing in seconds. And that's the art. That's the art.
So you're going, this is actually 3 right, not 2
exactly,
whatever. You
exactly.
go, this we could go this speed X amount. But that's then the relationship between the co-driver and the navigator.
And then it's trusting it. It's trusting you've made the right notes. And you're coming to a blind crest in 6th gear and everything is screaming at you, slow down, stop. And your co-driver says, flat left. Over over a 6th gear flat out and it's over a crest and it's flat left. Yeah. It's like, you've got to trust it. You've got to trust it. Your foot's saying you're going across the crest. Let's hope the fuck this or just slightly left. Happened at the weekend. It happened with Ogier, and there was a section in Greece where it was exactly like that. It was like a 6th gear left. It was a slight left over a crest on tarmac.
Wow.
So the section on tarmac, and it was blind. And he said, and I heard him talking to Robin Perrin about this in the service area, and he said he came up to it, and it was like, is it flat? No, it's not quite flat. And he chickened out, which for Ogier is really, really unusual.
Wow.
And he, one or two other drivers later on tried to take it flat, went into the ditch on the other side, and one of them, local, had a huge crash.
Wow.
But Ogier managed to just get it slightly sideways, 180 or 360 basically in a handbrake turn, and then on he went. But, he just doubted. He doubted at the very last second. And the skill of these guys is the ability to actually split second, that's not right, spin. Or, there are others that I've seen that have gone straight over edges, deliberately straight over, rather than trying, realising, no, I'm not going to get around this.
Yeah.
And if I try to get around that, I'm going to roll down this cliff or down this hill. It's actually safer for me to go straight over.
Wow.
And I've seen drivers taking those decisions in split seconds.
Yeah,
split
amazing.
seconds. And they're a clever bunch, and to trust the notes, to make the notes, to trust the notes, to drive to the notes.
Yeah.
And to get it right 99.9% of the time is just quite incredible.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, the thing that I really picked up on, I went through a phase where I did a lot of rally sim racing at home.
Yeah.
And the thing that stood out to me was any blind corner, you, especially on gravel, you are determining the pitch and the angle as you throw the car in and determining where you're going to end up long before you're ever getting over the crest to see where it's going, right?
Yeah.
So you don't know whether if it's a flat 6, for example, over a crest, you don't know whether it's a 3 degree or a 4 degree flat, and how much you tip the car in 200 metres back will determine whether you end up 3 or 4 degrees.
And then if you get that degree 1 wrong, it's the next corner that absolutely stops you up. It's the next corner. So this is why they're calculating 2-3 corners ahead.
It's insane.
At that speed, with all that thing happening, with all that noise, that's what I did.
Yeah.
But you predetermine those 3 or 4 corners, and you just
insane.
But listen back, if you ever get the chance, watch some onboards there's a great onboard of Colin McRae and Nicky Grist when McRae won the championship. And it's, I think, the final stage, Clackanog on the Rally GB. And what's astonishing is how few pace notes there are in that. You listen now, and these are cars that are quicker, that are more responsive, more nimble, that are doing things at lightning speed.
Yeah.
And the amount of information the top drivers put into their notes is quite astonishing.
Really?
It's quite astonishing, to the point where some of them, on certain rallies, actually have to take some information out because the co-driver can't actually get enough words out per second,
Wow.
But it all goes in. It's not distracting. It all adds to what they can do. It goes in. Yeah. They paint this. I've talked to a number of them about it. It's like a moving map in their mind.
Yeah.
So it's a map that they're actually drawing.
It's like they're driving on it and going.
They're seeing. And then there are drivers who actually, the pace notes are just an aide memoir, because they could tell you. They could, if you sat at the start of the stage and said, right, you read back to me your pace notes. They could do. There are drivers, 1 or 2, who could tell you straight off top of their heads 20 kilometres of pace notes.
So it's like photographic memory.
The
pace
some of them have that ability. Some of them have that ability. So I mean that's what makes them just that little bit different.
They are
special breed. We love them for it.
Oh yeah,
mate. Honestly, it is.
Yeah.
And I think until you see that in-car footage, not just from the outside, that just the craziest the thing. You see the in-car, and it's just all happening so quick, and you're just like, that's special.
Well, you get the chance, sit in a car with a driver, and then it'll give you a better appreciation.
We're getting close to the end, so wrap us up with your story of going for a passenger ride in a World Rally Car.
Yeah, I've been fortunate, and I've been in a few cars. I was in a car with Brendan Reeves when he crashed it. Right, so, and that's on YouTube somewhere. Yeah. Brendan's had 2 crashes in his career.
And you were in the
one with his sister and one with me. But the worst one was with Hayden Paddon. It was Rally New Zealand. It was Rally Finland. And Rally Finland is just so quick. It's unbelievable. An average speed of 120 kilometres an hour nearly, over 400 kilometres. It's so fast. And it's all these blind crests and jumps and fast corners. Not only that, you've got ditches and trees. So the jeopardy is enormous. So I'd gone to spectate. It was the Monday after the event. It'd been a great rally. And I'd gone to spectate on a test with Hyundai. And Hayden was driving. And I was out and I was watching these cars. And I'm literally, they're coming over these jumps. I'm 6 foot I'm literally going like that. Wow. I'm looking at these cars flying in the air, looking at the underside, at the the barge boards underneath, and going, wow, this is just insane. And I'm walking back through the stage, and there's a massive hole in the greenery at the side of the stage. And I was with a guy called Christian Solberg, who was a driver. And he went, that's where the Russian, Lukanyuk, he had a world rally car for that event, the only event. That's where he put it through there in testing and totally wrote off the car. And he said, he got it over that first jump there. He got it slightly wrong over that first jump. The second jump, he was out of control. As it landed, it pinged off into the trees. Written off, didn't compete. And I'm going, all right, okay. It's quite dangerous, this, isn't it? So we're spectating. And I'm by this point, I've got a huge lump on my head because I've been hit in the head by a rock. You know, we're spectating. Genuinely. So Christian Solberg was a world-class driver. Yeah. So we're at this point on these jumps. I said, Christian, we're safe here. He goes, yeah, we're all right here, Cole. We're quite safe here. And we were safe from cars crashing, but not from rocks. So I kind of see him ducking. He's in front of me. He ducks. And literally, it's like, why is he... I've had quite an eventful morning. Blood streaming down my face. Jesus. I'm slightly not with it. And then I get this phone call from Hyundai. It's like, Colin, it's the guy who organised the tests. He goes, can you come back to service area? And I'm thinking, shit, what have I done? I've done something wrong. What have I said? Because normally what have I said? Have I said something? Have I tweeted something? Who have I upset now? And I'm thinking, oh, shit. When do you want me back? Now. We want you back now. Oh, fuck. Must be really bad. Whatever I've said and done, it must be really bad. So we go back to the service area. And the guy's there, I'm going, yeah, what is it? He said, that little room there, go and put some overalls on. I went, what? He said, you're getting in the car on the next run with Hayden. Oh. And I went, nah, I don't think so. And I've got this big lump on my head. I think, I'm not thinking straight. Yes, I'm going in it. I'll never get the chance again to go in a world rally car in Finland with one of the very best drivers in the world. That's
special, yeah.
So I get in the car, Hayden said, and we're strapped in. I've got my sandals on because I didn't have a proper pair of shoes, but I've got everything else perfect. So we get to start line, and it's probably 200 metres, open fields, to a 90 left. And then you're into the trees, and you're fast right-hander, and then you hit these incredible jumps, and the car's flying past. So we're off the start line, bang! It's the violence. It's the absolute violence of these cars. We're on gravel. We're doing 100 kilometres an hour in 2.1 seconds. Something daft.
Yeah.
I'm going, Jesus Christ. Yeah. Hayden's loving it. And we hit this first corner, and I've still got my eyes open. I'm going, we're going to crash. Hayden! And he's round the corner. And he started giggling. And I've now got my eyes firmly closed. Right? And what I've noticed when I'm walking down the test stage taking photographs is there's an enormous ditch with huge rocks in it. So I'm absolutely shitting myself. And I'm sitting there on the right side of the car, eyes closed, waiting. Hayden, we're in the ditch. And he's driving. He's got one hand to me. He goes, Colin, we're nowhere near the ditch. And open my eyes and went, get your fucking hands back on the steering wheel. He's laughing, and my eyes are closed again, and I'm shrieking, and I'm screaming, and I know we're 6 feet up in the air, and I know we're doing 200 kilometres an hour. I know there's huge trees. I can hear the transmission breaking. I don't know what a good transmission sounds like, but to me, everything's breaking. We're going to have punctures. We're going to end up in the trees. We're dead. So it's 5Ks out. It's 5Ks out. And then he's on the handbrake to bring it to go fast. I said, stop, Hayden. He goes, oh, what's up, Cole? And at this point, literally, I'm shaking, tears coming down my face. I said, stop, I'm getting out. I'm getting out. I said, I've had enough. He said, Cole, what do you mean you're getting out? I said, I'm getting out. I am genuinely terrified. I don't like this. And he said, Colin, I've been doing this for 15 years, passing the race, and no one has ever told me to stop or get out. And I said, I don't care, I don't give a shit. He said, okay, I'll take it easy. I said, no, if I'm staying in this car, that sign there that says 40 mile an hour, that is the speed you do through the stage. That is the speed you do. So he goes, all right. So and he's embarrassed. He's going, so you doing anything next week, Cole? And I'm sitting there, not saying anything to him. I'm so angry, I'm so upset. We get back into the service area, and the onboard didn't work. The only time that day it didn't work. We get back, and there are pictures of me completely traumatised, tears streaming down my face. God, they had to literally lift me out of the car.
Wow.
Lift me out of the car. It was the single most terrifying thing I have ever done in my life.
Really?
Single most terrifying thing. And
your appreciation, I guess?
The appreciation levels now I talk about rallying. I'll never say that I'm a driver, because I'm not. I've never driven a rally. Co-driven once. Was sick. Co-driven once, was very sick. But it gave me an enormous appreciation of the skill levels, the bravery of these drivers, and it just reaffirmed that I'm a complete wuss. The world's biggest coward. I am the world's biggest coward.
I think the majority of people would be. To sit in that, I think it's totally different to being on a track. Totally, you can't. That's what I mean. It's just that's something I would love to experience, because that would be just sure brilliance.
Oh, it is. I've been with enough people and spoken to enough people who have really appreciated it, who actually kept their eyes open, haven't sworn at the driver, haven't cried at the end of it, and I've said it is just the most thrilling thing you can imagine. And you can see why. Why co-drivers are doing what they're doing. You can see, because it is thrilling. Just the actual ability to go at that sort of speed, to be in that kind of zone where you are controlling that piece of machinery to the level that they control it. We have gentleman drivers in our sport, and Jordan Serdaridis is a gentleman driver, one of the only ones we've had in this generation of rally cars, which is wrong. It's another problem that the FI have to sort, because rallying has always been unique in that it's supported gentleman drivers. We've got to a point where even the richest of the rich can barely afford to run these rally cars.
Wow.
But Serdaridis, gentleman driver, but he has more skill in that pinky of his than I've got in my whole body.
Yeah.
He's a gentleman driver, but my good God, he can drive that car. He understands weight transfer, balance. He understands every aspect of how that car works, and he's a gentleman driver. There's some skill out there. There really is. Is there a sim component for training for the rally drivers like they are for F1 and tin tops and all that? So not as sophisticated as Formula One, but they have these new sims which are incredible, which will give you that kind of weight transfer feeling, and with the hydraulics and all the rest. Sims in terms of rallying are more difficult, clearly, to develop, because there are so many variables. In terms of the way that the surface works and all the rest. So many variables. But supposedly, not that I've ever been on one, because I have no interest, but I was talking actually just a couple of weeks ago to some guys who do use some fairly technologically advanced sims, and they say they're incredible. And these are instructors, rally instructors who say the sims actually now are getting to that point.
I mean, some of the stuff we've got, it is quite, it is, and again, we've sold a few where the guys have actually, because we've downloaded all the maps and they're all satellites, so they're all perfect. And a lot of the guys have just sat there and hours upon hours upon hours, and they go, it definitely has helped me. It definitely has.
I'm sure it does.
And you sit there and you go, well, the degree of technical prowess with the intelligence of these games, you can actually simulate it where, I don't know, let's say Bathurst up the top and you've rubbed the wall and you're coming down and you've bent the arm, so you're out 5 degrees and you're losing 2 PSI per lap. You can set that up to that, which is very, very technical.
It is.
Ridiculous.
And the thing with rallying and with the simulations and the games that are available just now is, in the olden days, you would come to Australia and you would test for 3 months, 4 months, and you would recce for 3 or 4 months.
Yes.
You would do lap after lap of the stage. You would pass after pass of the stage. You can't do that anymore. You have 2 passes.
That's it. Yeah.
So these kids will spend a lot of time playing the games, getting to know the stages, and it's not perfect. It's not absolutely a substitute for proper wrecking. No. But it gives them a familiarity.
Gives them an idea.
So at least you know your left and rights.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly that. Yeah. And so there's definitely a place for it. And we see that so much more these days, that even 10 years ago, Hayden Paddon was actually another one who, we talk about how he had to work so much harder. He was one of the very first pioneers of videos, using videos to help him prepare for rallies. So, he would scour the internet for onboard videos. And he would sit and he would make his own notes from watching other people's videos.
Nice.
And it's now all part of a driver's preparation. They will sit and they will watch onboards, their own onboards from the previous year. They will watch their opponent's onboards. And they will look for the corners where they know they can get that extra tenth or so of a second. So, things like videos and sims and games play a bigger part in rallying than they've ever played.
Yeah.
And
there's anything that can give them that little bit of an edge.
Little edge. Little edge.
And we're talking like 10 tenths and things like that. It makes the difference, isn't it?
Which you wouldn't have thought really in rallying that would matter, but it does. It absolutely does. You can get 30k stages where 3 cars set exactly the same time.
Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing when you think about
madness.
that?
Different cars.
That's just quite amazing.
Different drivers,
skill sets
different styles, different approaches.
And they're all within...
Yeah. And you think they must be driving close to... Because there must be, with a car and the car's capability, the conditions, a driver and a driver's capabilities, there must be a perfect drive for that stage.
Yeah.
You know, and it must be that there is a time which is the maximum, or the shortest possible time that you could physically set. A physical calculation that says, in that car, with that power, that is the best possible time you could set.
Yeah.
And I reckon we get drivers that get close to that. And that's the only thing that can explain 25, 30 kilometres with drivers setting the same time. Is that they've all driven just about the perfect stage that car is capable of delivering in those conditions.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It is.
When there's so many variables, it's incredible.
Especially over that long period and just the previous run could have thrown gravel out a bit different on the track, and then just those things.
And drivers just they have different ways of dealing with things like gravel. Your ruts appear.
Yeah.
Some drivers use the ruts. Some drivers like to lean against the ruts. Some drivers like to stay out of the ruts. You know, if you're confident in the way your car will behave, and you have to be unbelievably confident, because you're going into a medium speed left-hander, and you know the right speed is whatever, 90, 100 kilometres an hour. But the ruts are there, and you can do it 110 kilometres an hour, as long as it doesn't jump out of those ruts.
Yeah.
It jumps out of those ruts, and you are deep in the shit, so you've got to be confident.
Yeah.
You can use the ruts as tram lines to take you through. Some drivers will do that, others just stay well clear.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It's incredible.
It is
incredible. Talented boys and girls.
Madness. It is interesting to say about that disparity of how close they are, even though the cars are so different, the drivers are so different. And funnily enough, it's the same story in Formula One.
Mate,
even though you've got 10 teams, you've got 10 radically different cars. You've got how different the Red Bull is to the Williams, and the driver skill across the board.
Yeah.
But the number 1 to number 20 in the Formula One grid is still closer time-wise than Formula 2, which is identical cars.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
It's weird, isn't it?
Absolutely bizarre. That can happen.
Crazy.
Why is that? Who knows? It's bizarre.
Yeah.
It's the quality of the boys that are peddling them, and girls that are peddling them around, I guess.
Clearly.
Especially when they do the side by side, when they have 2 cars on the track, and they cut, and you see how, you might say Lewis or Max or Fernando, how they you see them on their edge, and a little bit of differences on the tracks and where they make it up, and how it is quite amazing how they all have that different centre of the entry point and exit. One's wider, and overall though, it fucking 0.0 of a point.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Madness. All right, well, on that fantastic note, we'll wrap up.
Mate, an absolute pleasure.
It's been a joy.
Mate, so lovely to see you. I'm so spewing I missed the first one, but it's so good to see you. And we're really, really, honestly, to have you here having a chat is special, mate. Thank you.
It's been absolutely my pleasure and a joy. And
always good to see you.
How can you not enjoy speaking to you two boys?
Nah.
With this in the background, it is the best possible place.
It's not a bad little setup, hey?
It's a great setup.
And coming from you, that's pretty big. This is a man that's all over the world at the highest level of motorsport, commentating. Is just, so for us, we're really chuffed, mate. Thank you.
Well, thanks
it's really
for inviting me. Thanks, boys.
And hopefully we'll be many times in the future too.
Well, you can't keep me away. Now I know where you are. That you're not just
every time you're back in Australia, every time you're in Australia, you're going to come and do a podcast and recap on the last rally tour.
Very happy to do
done.
That.
Awesome,
Cheers,
my
lads.
friend.
Thank
you.
Thanks for listening, guys. Don't forget Cars and Coffee, November 4th. See Through Glass is coming.
Huge.
It's going to be massive.
Where are we at this stage?
In terms of
numbers,
1,000-ish. Yeah, give or take.
Yeah,
and podcast is sold out.
Yeah, podcast sold out.
That's Sam's podcast.
Yeah, that's not our podcast. That's his podcast. So please, no one keep ringing me and asking me how do we get on. It ain't going to happen. I can't. I can't. I don't even know how I'm going to get the 20 people that I promised on. So we'll work it out.
All right, boys and girls. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Speak to you soon.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Awesome.